Now, where were we before I basically kicked the plug out of everything? It's like I was wearing roller skates. Okay. It was. Have you ever seen Liu Kang do a sweeping kick on Mortal Kombat? The idea here is to make a bottling machine. We're going to divide stuff in half. Once we divide it in half, we can divide it in other numbers, but we need it to be divided equally. And anyone who's a fluid dynamics genius or expert, or in the expert level, they have expertise from the experience, they would see there is a problem, but I think I have a solution. Will a trap work? We're going to try and modify this particular machine that I've started constructing. The original idea was, well, let's just see if a splitter works. We'll split it in two, then we'll go from there. But I got a T splitter, and I said, nah, well, let's use one of these Y splitters. That's a little more pointed in the right direction. We're going for uppy downy, right? Haha, get it? So I tried that, and it's very critical how balanced the Y shape is when it's going downward. Because if it's tilted more to one side, you know, the leg of the Y is kicked out like a K, it's going to have like a straight pass through, and more of the water ends up in one of the containers than the other. So I've decided to use a trap system. What I did is I have the funnel go down as the one tube and come up and over the top. The problem there is I get a reverse siphon, and I'll show you that before I modify it, but I think I have an idea. I'm going to use a third or a second Y. I'm going to use a third leg as a vent. And it's going to be a vent trap. I think that might help. Not too sure though, because it's like it's so critical how high that those loops have to be balanced equally. Maybe I need larger. No, that wouldn't work. If I had them open into like a container, and then the container, you know, when it flows over, but then even then, whichever side of the trap is easier, more water is going to go to that side. I'm not sure this is going to work, but I do want to try and see if that trap gets rid of my my siphon problem. We're going to make an anti-siphon leg. Let's try that out. Yep, hi Colette, how's it going? Somebody else stopped by before I ninja kicked all the cords, and um, I hope they are having a good day. Hopefully they can make it back. That was just poor timing. Anyway, how's it going? I started working on this bottling machine, but I'm still not sure about it. It's all about how the fluid flows. And I'm going to show you the siphon problem I'm having. So we fill them up, and then they get up to the top of the trap. Oop. Oh, we're having like a gravity thing, because it's the water level in the things in the funnels here, and the water level in the traps there, because it's divided by 2. So I'll tip that up. See if we spill water everywhere. And one of the things is gonna go. It's gonna be this one. It's gonna go and it's gonna suck it out of that side. So as long as I pour, it goes. But then once I let go, the one that goes first siphons from the other side. So I was thinking about making a third like a trap to let air in so that it doesn't siphon. Because the idea is to keep the trap full, and then when we divide the bottle, it's whatever we put in here comes out of the trap. But now I'm starting to think that whichever one of these is faster is going to get more water, despite the siphon. I mean, the third leg will solve our siphon problem, I think. But we're still going to have to adjust the 2 legs to get it to be perfect. And that's still, I'm going for something that's like, it works. You know? I want something that you bump it and it's out of whack. I want to be able to throw it at the wall, pick it up, and it still does the job. I want a bottling machine I can wield in battle. Well, let's try that vent trap and see if that'll get us anything. Do. Thanks. Yeah, I didn't want to comb my hair, so I said I'd throw a hat on. And why not a nautical hat? We're dealing with water here, right? I am at the end of my headphones cord, so I will probably yank it. Get it? Oh, jeez. Try not to yank this off of here. Don't yank it off. Just slow. Ooh. Little bit. It's all right. We're good. We're good. It's all good. We got it. We got it all cleaned up. Nice and clean. All right. What were we doing? A captain's hat. Whose was? Oh, okay. This was a part of a combo deal. I got... I got a 10-pack of these Ys, because I thought that sounded pretty wise. I've got this other one I was working with. I think I'm going to go ahead and use it. I have some clamps too that I tried, just to try and slow one side and the other side. But the thing is, I'm not looking for that adjustment-ness. I'm looking for something that's a little more reliable. Something that's like a perfect, divide it in half every time. Why no bowl under it? Under what? To catch the water? I don't know. That's a lot of extra doing stuff. I'm just trying things out here. Cause it's like all this laying out this hose and stuff. I could take the time to like measure it and put it on a level stand and try to make it perfect. But is that really significant if I'm gonna try and make a completely different way, or I'm not even gonna use the machine at all? It's all about significant figures. What's pragmatic? All right, there's our Y. It's below the other Y. Is that going to be a problem? Does it need to be in the top? Like up here? That might be the best option, is just to split them both at the top and put a Y in each of them. Just like a little hole. I mean, because there will be pressure on the line which will push water up. So we'll have to have tubes that come up to absorb that pressure in the line. But that'll drain back down and take care of the siphon. That might be a better option. We're going to try this one first. See if it fixes it. And how well of a job it does. There we go. And then we'll see after that if putting some Y's in the top is wise. And it will be a true showing, since I bought so many of them, if the purchase was wise when I bought so many Y's. I'm wise. At least I'm wise. Alrighty. Let's see if this'll get us anywhere. Should have made the funnel a little bit taller. Okay, it's going up into the trap line. That might be our downfall. Either that or it's that bubble. It's like there's air in the line. Why is that a thing? I'm gonna poke it. I'm poking the bubble. Let's see if it drains all over everywhere. Poke. 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 I wonder why it's not draining down in there. It's just water. It's gotta be something to do with this level. The pressure level on that air. But I mean, oh, there it went. To the bottle that doesn't exist. Nice. Okay, so that was different. Yeah, I think the traps must need to be at the peak. Let me dry up my spill steak here. The bottles to catch extra once you figure it out, the Y's could fill more than two That's what I'm saying, Colette. All we gotta do is figure out how to evenly split it. Why don't you put the funnel directly in the Y at the top? Because when the Y is tilted like this, it goes down this side more than it goes out the other side. And trying to get it perfectly even is very difficult. Which is what I'm trying to avoid. I'll bump it and it'll be out of whack. We're talking fluid dynamics here. We're talking about water pressure. Which is why it's not going up into the trap, because I don't have an it's not tall enough. So let's see. Put the water back in the main bottle. Go ahead and get our rubber band from the actual component bottles. And we'll rubber band these together so that when they spill together. Double the spill, double the thrill. Alrighty. What are we trying to do here? Adjust the funnel upward. Somebody tighten these zip ties really tight. They must have thought this was a permanent solution and said, this is great. It's going to do the job well. We don't even have to worry. All right. Let's see. I should have the desk on the other side, shouldn't I? So then you can see what's happening. Why do I? It's because this desk is way away from the other desk where all the computer stuff is. Let's go ahead and turn it. Oh, Colette, while you're here, I can tell you some thingies. I can tell you, I went through the boxes of Roxes. I'm going to hold them up. And no, if I shorten the trap, it won't hold as much. But I don't think it's doing the job because it's too low. It's below the siphon area. It's still going to siphon. I mean, I saw it do it. We're just going to do a little bit better job of it. So I went through the boxes of Roxes. I took pictures of the lovely boxes and all the stickers. I know it's been a little over a year. And I got rid of the boxes, even though it was hard, because they're all the stickers and stuff. But I took pictures of them so I can keep that. And I put all the rocks that were like in bags that don't have candy on them. I put them in 2 boxes. So I have them organized into the ones that we went through, and then the bigger ones. And then I have some other ones that are for you that I need to send to you that are set aside. And then I took the bigger ones that have candy on them and I set them outside so they can get rinsed off in the rain. And then we're going to do something with them and slice them up. Like that speckled one. That's pretty cool. Okay, let me go ahead and try to turn this ship around. And then we'll try that experiment again. Okay, that gets us a little closer. How's the audio, by the way? I moved, so I had to move the camera. I also moved the microphone, headphones around to different USB ports, what I'm getting at. And I wound up having to adjust the microphone audio. I went with 11 decibels. Yes, exactly. The thing is, I'm gonna have to sit there and adjust it, and I can make, there's adjustments and then there's fine adjustments, like like the 10 turn pot potentiometer. Like, a knob can go around one time, or there's a knobs that can go around 10 times. It's a finer adjustment. Sort of like with spigots, yard garden hose spigots on the outside of your house. They make one that's a quarter turn full blast. You don't even have to mess around. There's no skirk, 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 skirk. Is it open? Is it closed? Is it all the way? I can't tell. So I'm trying to avoid that fine adjustment. I want something that's a little bit more definite. But it is fluid dynamics, and so I think what I'm doing with the trap is taking the 1 turn potentiometer and making it a 10 turn potentiometer. So it is closer. But I'm still going to need those traps at the peaks of the arcs. And the arcs are defined by distance over and distance up, or around, basically. In line for the fish tanks? What, the little trap things? Well, the loops are just a turn. It's a way of, instead of the fluid, like I was mentioning, how the fluid, when the fluid goes down the Y, it'll go down whichever passage is open more. So if we flip the passages upward, then it's not as direct. But still, one passage is easier to travel through than the other. So we're basically making it uh, precise. Not sure if that's precisely the word. Okay, let's go ahead and try this thing out. I'm not going to be able to take the microphone over there yet. I'm going to have to get another extension cord. Let me take a note of that. Okay, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Can you give me a name of the piece and then I can look it up? Things that slow the air going through tubes. Not getting anything yet. Usually for air tubes, but still should work. I've got some clamps. They're tubing clamps. They're fine adjustment tubing clamps. I'll show you one. But first I want to put the traps in the top of the loops. Because I think that would get rid of our siphon problem and turn the traps into dead traps. Which is what I'm going for. I'm going for both of them to kind of go up over this level area. I think that would give me better adjustment, and then I can fine adjust it from there with the clamps. I don't know. I'm basically going off I don't knows. But let's try it out. Did you see me moving that trap arm? That was changing the pressure in the line, which was changing the fluid level in the other 3 lines. So the fluid adjustment in the trap line. I don't know, I'm gonna take that one out though. Okay, I I want to try it at least once with this loop. I was gonna cut the loop just so I had two even pieces. Let's try it without cutting the loop and see if there's some sort of, because that could be like a vacuum feedback that makes them even. That would be so cool. You know what I mean? If there's like a feedback, they're anti-flow. I thought about putting them in different ways, but it's anti-flow right now. It because the main part of the Y is bigger than the other two, so it goes from the small part to the bigger part, and then it the other part is a small part, so it'll and it's against the flow, so it'll try to stay out of there. Put one piece of the top of the Y into each bottle. Only one tube till it gets to the Y. Oh, that's a neat idea. Upside down, yeah. Fish, air, line, adjustment piece. Goes into the bottom of the Y while the Y is upside down. Right, yeah, that's how I have the main splitter. It goes from the funnel into the Y that's upside down. Oh, okay, they're lines that vent out air but don't vent out water, right? Or no, it's just an airline valve. Okay. Maybe those would be good adjusters, actually. Because that's kind of what we're doing is working with air tubing, but we're working with water, so we have like gravity to deal with. All right, let's go ahead and try the loop, and then we'll go from there. Oh, did you see that feedback loop in operation? It stopped it at first, so it gave it some time, right? It stopped it from happening right away. But then then the siphon happened through the feedback loop, and it sucked everything from the one's share of the line over to its line. But the next time, it did it with the other bottle. And then the next time, it did it with the other bottle. So it's not all the same bottle. So the feedback loop is making it very close to being what we need. Colette, my brain it feels like I've been lifting weights, which is what I need to do now. I'm gonna go do, um, well, actually, what I need to do, to be 1000% honest, is go outside and make sure I actually do have more of this line. I think it's 3/8. Um, it might be like 3/16 inside diameter line. I think it's 3/8 outside diameter. Either way, I'm gonna go outside and make sure I got more of it. But I'm also gonna do some curls, some plunges, and some sit-ups, and some push-ups. And I will be back in probably like 5 minutes or so. And we're going to kind of soak that little occurrence into our brain. But before I go, I would like to... No, I don't want to cloud it. I was going to say I want to try it one more time, but I don't want to cloud it. I want to think about it. Because it worked at first. So maybe cutting the feedback line is the answer. We'll think about that. We'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. Thanks for joining us. Ah, one cool pieces, but like the ocean one I liked a lot, but not blue. One looks like petrified wood. I actually wanted to go over some of the bigger rocks again, the ones that we were going to slab, because I noticed there's an agate and a petrified wood and another, like a big piece of chalcedony, and shouldn't have left them in the candy for over a year. That candy got really sticky, very sticky. Um, okay, I think I need to go ahead and cut my ingenious feedback loop thing. I was trying to figure out if it was more of a flow situation. Like if there's a lot of pressure, then it will start siphoning. But if it's slow flow, it seems to be pretty even. So that kind of makes me wonder if I had, just a little bit bigger lines. These are 3/8 OD. But if I had, half inch or something like that, 3/4 might be too much, but that's 3/8 OD, 1/4 inch ID inside. We on the inside. I think what we need to do, it did-ish. Well, okay, Colette, let's say yes. Until. How's that answer for you? Yes, it did fill evenly. Until I started pouring too much liquid too quickly. And that's another thing. I mean, it's splitting it even. But, cheeks, if it's slow, that doesn't really serve the purpose as well. I mean, it does get me there. Because I'm like, I'm trying to do it myself. I still kind of wonder how even it is. But I mean, I compare them all, and I compare every bottle. I'm trying to be able to process them a little quicker, and designing the machinery ahead of time really brings down the price. So, I would say that it did divide it evenly until, yes, until it started siphoning. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and cut the feedback loop and check that. Lower the bottles so what we call gravity works better. Lower the bottles. We're gonna drop it low. Drop it, drop it, drop it. Okay, any last thoughts before we cut the feedback loop? I was thinking about maybe a large reservoir on top. But if it's about flow, because if we got flow going in, and I was just adding a little bit, and it was coming out both sides evenly. But let's say I go ahead and pressurize the reservoir. Whar. Uh, you know, let's take. I think opening the traps will work. Opening the feedback loop will work, but let's take it to a little bit of an extreme. For example, if we put it on the downside, it's not really going to stop the siphon. It's just going to let air in on the backfill side. So it'll slow the siphon, right? But there's air coming in at the end of the tube already. So we need it. We need the siphon stop trap top thingy to be in the pressurized side, the side where it's coming up. So if it's coming up and it's above the water line, it should be close to the same as being in the peak and in the water line. And I think that's what was happening, because you notice it didn't really give any feedback at first. And here's my theory on that. At first, the traps filled up, but then the feedback loop pressurized. And somebody decided to pop that bubble. Somebody pushed harder on it, one side of the line. The other side went ahead and accepted that siphon, and it got more water. So if we pop that top of the feedback loop, those traps should handle the anti-siphon. Yep, it has to be up high, otherwise it either won't go over the tops of the traps. You're right about that, we saw that earlier. Or it'll come over the top of the funnel before it actually goes through the tube. Except for with the feedback traps, we need those to be higher than the funnel because we don't want it to come out the top of those. Those are just supposed to be reservoirs, basically. I mean, I'm using tubing because that connects to it. It should work. But we could just have like big reservoir dogs. The first one was promising. I mean, 2%, I can deal with that. I mean, 2 grams on 150. Two and a half percent. We can work with that. 10%, that's a lot. It's getting closer. I mean, at least now it works. Before it didn't even work at all. It was like more like a 70% deviation. Getting closer. I think having the traps on the pressurized side is the right idea. Well, I'm thinking at this point we need to increase efficiency because at I mean it's pretty much working at 2%. Shoot, if we could get 2% every time, we could get closer than we could get 0.2% every time, and 0.2% is acceptable because I give everybody what is it, 5% extra per bottle anyway. 3%, maybe it's 3.75% extra per bottle, or was it 5.375? I don't know. I make sure I give more than I promise, but I want, every bottle the same. It's a potent dose, right? Then there's the other question, Colette. We're not just filling this with water. We're filling this with plant food. So what I'm going to have to do is take the system as is, pour the plant food into it, and then pour water through it to flush the plant food out. Which is why I kind of need to tighten up those tubes so there's not as much volume of extra water being put into the product. Did I mention that somebody told me about having a grow store? And they want some for their shelf. And I'm out of stock. I need to make some more anyway. I had some people talk to me about buying some, and I didn't have anything to sell them. Like even Ron asked me. Ron Weasley asked me for some, and I had to send him some of the collector bottles. As I fill, I can hear it vacuum sucking through the trap tubes, going, making that little vibration-y noise. I wonder if opening up the trap tubes would help. Bigger diameter. Because it's like the top of the tube is the siphon issue, which is what pulls from the other side. It's looking for a place to pull air from. And so if we have that tube in the peak, what we need are both of those siphon tubes to be even. That way the volume that remains in the tube will go evenly to both sides instead of one side pulling more volume. Because I think that's what's happening is with that siphon, it's throwing us off. the siphon is sucking volume from wherever it can into the bottle. The wrong bottle and not the other bottle. One bottle and not the other. Equality, Colette, equality. The bottles are only a tenth of a point off from each other. That's why I weigh them when they're empty. Make sure. When the bottles are wet, they're a gram heavier than when they're dry. All those little droplets of water in there. The bottles weigh about 7.5 grams, and all that extra water weighs about 1 gram. Water is heavy. Submerged and then pull them up. Oh, in water. Well, I don't know how the water in the submersion would relate to the water level in the tubing. We need to tie those two water pressure levels together. But it is, I love your creative thinking. I'm not seeing it right off the top of my head. But I do lengthwise. Colette, I'm considering this a happy progress. A gallon is 6 or 8 pounds. A gallon of water is 10 pounds. A gallon of milk is 8 pounds. Milk has a lot more empty space in it because the fat molecules have empty space. And you can take that to the food bank. Aren't you glad you came by? I would call this a victory because we are closer. I think a little bit of chewing on this will get this hammered out. I'm gonna order some bottles. I was thinking, instead of batching in 10s, I could batch in 12s and divide that into 6. No, that wouldn't work. That's dumb. I can't do 12s. We need 2s, 4, 6, 8, 16, 32, 64. Hot. Overtime. Yeah, 128. So if I batched in batches of 256, then I could cut it down to 2s. Ooh, I could take some of my already done bottles from the collector bottles and adjust my 10x bottles. I could put 3 10x bottles together, and that'd be 30. And then 2 single bottles, and that'd be 32. And then we'll divide them down. 16, 8, whatever comes after that, or before that, or whatever the math term is, etc. Fill them all at the same time, submerged. It would be so much quicker. I think we're going to have to talk about that on the Skype so I know what you're talking about. I'm liking what we got. I think this is progress. I just need to make it a little more efficient. I'm going to think about it a little bit. I want to cut a gem, so I have a gem for tonight. I also got to make a phone call. It's kind of making me want to set up a studio. I kept thinking about that. Like doing like Facebook streams where I sell the gems and stuff. But I've never really taken the time to set it up because I don't know if I'll sell anything or if it's worth my time. I think I'm getting better though. If I get the proper polishing equipment for the faceter, maybe I can sell some gems. I see a lot of unique gems, Colette, on Instagram, and there's a lot of them that use the new concave faceting. There's a lot of gems I've seen that have like fancy carvings, and they'll even use like a big piece of amethyst, and then it's got a fancy computer carving in the back, or maybe an artisan done carving. I've seen them both. And then on the front they have this giant window, this huge table facet, and a lot of my gems are about big facets. Now there's a reason why people don't use big facets. There's actually two reasons. The first reason is because more facets equals more glittery flickery. More glittery flickery sells. The other reason is big facets are difficult to polish. Small ones, it's pretty easy to get away with polishing one and it not being exactly perfectly the same size as the one on the opposite side of the stone. It's not as easily noticeable. Well, I don't, I don't need a corner. What do you think about this corner? That's what I was talking about. I'll just have the desk out front like this. But I could set up the camera a little bit better. The camera's actually set. I set up the camera at the faceter, and I didn't want to take it all down so I could do this stream. Because I was like, oh man, this bottler's cool. I gotta live stream it. And then I was also kind of hoping you'd come by so I could tell you I went over all the stones and stuff again. We're getting into that obsidian. I cut that big triangle and some other pieces. Gotta send you the little pieces that I cut off of it, that one with the hole in it. Gotta send you that so you can see it. And I'm gonna split that piece of opal if I ever get in there, so that's what I need to do. I got too many people wanting me to do stuff for them, and I love helping them. And I need to do other things for me, but that stuff doesn't make money, so I have to do it on Sundays. Hang a sheet behind. I don't. We could always do something like that. It depends. Whatever we need. It's kind of, Colette. At this point, it's kind of like my live stream. My Sunday show on YouTube. It's more about how to and fun entertainment, and I put some effort into it, right? But not a lot. But then with the Facebook thing, it's kind of the same thing. I'll start putting some effort into it. I guess it has a higher likeliness to pay off. But then it kind of comes back to the gems themselves and how many of them I don't make because so many of them I've given away and I just haven't been making very many of them lately. But I should because, people like to buy their stones off of me. I could sell the plant food. I tell you what, I'll do some Facebook Lives if you are willing to come to them. I'll set up a Facebook Live if you want to show up. Because I will totally do that. And then instead of being here, we'll be on Facebook and we can be like, buy my things. Buy my book. Buy my book. That show was... Oh yeah, yep, we'll get there. If I ever get in there and carve. So that's what I'm going to do. Thank you for coming by. Hopefully I get something done so that I can get some pictures and do a live stream in a few hours. Have a variety show where you show gems for... That's what I have. That's what I have. A variety... Yeah, it's a variety hour. No, you're talking about something different. I know you're talking about something different, but I don't. I need to call you on Skype so that we can talk about it. And we will do that after I shape some gems. How's that sound? I do, yeah. If people want to buy them, but nobody wants to buy them, you know, I guess maybe I don't know. I'm not really like. So here's this thing, because just don't have a lot of people coming by to buy them. I don't know. We'll get to that. I tell you what, we'll talk about that if I can do the live stream. If I get a gem done. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll see you on the next one.